everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today guys, it is time for the October book haul. But before we get into that book haul, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. With that out of the way guys, I don't know what happened. I mean, I do know what happened. We all process grief differently, and I recently lost a family member, and I sought comfort in series that I didn't own on my bookshelves anymore, and so I wanted to rectify that. So it was out with the old, in with the new. This led to some problems, thus, like in the intro I told you, I had an on-haul, and then I've kind of had series and authors that over the last month, I'm like, am I really into this author? Like, Ronald Malfi. I like Ronald Malfi. I do audiobooks for Ronald Malfi. I don't need these on my shelves anymore. So, like, literally within the same month, I hold this in, and it's leaving my collection, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it on audio. And I don't particularly love book club editions, and so these Pendergast books, well, they just kind of needed to go because I wanted the full-size hardcovers. So these were literally the ones I got in initially. One of them I had to order in like twice, and it just kept happening. I kept getting the book club edition. So these are listed on my Pengo. And then I did some eBay purchases. This is an ex-library book. I don't collect ex-library books. I don't particularly like having them in my collection, and so that's leaving. I've got a replacement copy of Blue Gold coming in. So, yeah, it's just been a wild month of buying books. And when I say this is the largest book haul I've ever done on this channel, this is the largest book haul I've ever done on this channel by far. I'm talking, like, by about 30 to 40 books. It's wild. We all handle our grief differently, and apparently my answer was to just dive in and buy as many books as possible. But I do need to do a shout out here on this book haul. Essentially, I want to shout out Carbon Bonded Books, I believe is the name of the channel. I watched, and I think her name is Adriana. I used to work with somebody by the name of Adriana, so my brain kind of struggles with saying her name. But Carbon Bonded Books did a review of this, Scorpion Tale, which is, I believe, the Nora Kelly book number 2 3 years ago. And that has lived in my brain for the last 3 years. And then you can't see it. There is a whole cart's worth of Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child books, which I had kind of moved on from, but for some reason, like that book review that she did all those years ago jumped back into the forefront of my mind this month, and I went on a Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child book buying binge. I mean, I bought up so many books. It's over, I think, 25 books from these authors just in the last month. So do me a favor, check the description box down below and go give her a sub. She's still posting videos. She's still kicking butt. Please do me a favor and go check out that channel, because largest book haul I've ever had. Now, we need to just dive into this, because I am literally surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towers of books. And I have books in the mail that are supposed to be delivered today that are not even going to make this book haul. It's another 8 books from this author. I guess we should start with this author since it's in frame. That author being Clive Cussler. These are the Kurt Austin adventures, and I bought a lot of these off of eBay. I think is where I got these. I did a lot of eBay shopping. I went to Half Price Books 5-6 times this month. Barnes & Noble at least twice. And yeah, it's just a lot has happened. But this is the Kurt Austin books. This is Polar Shift, which I have read. And also, like, I need to preface, of any book haul I've ever done, this is the most... How am I going to say this? The number of books that I have read in this book haul is the largest I've ever done in a book haul. I don't know if that made any sense. I've read a lot of these books. I've read like a third of the books that I hold. Polar Shift being one of them, Lost City being another. And if you don't know, like, Clive Cussler does kind of like, I picture like Sean Connery, James Bond style adventures where you've got the evil villain, mustache twirling. There's a more nautical theme. There's less toys. Like, you know, the gadgets and the gizmos that James Bond has, but it's still the titular action hero, and he's going, like, car chases and speedboat chases and exploring, sunken relics and wrecks and stuff like that, discovering lost cities. It's really cool. Each book starts with, like, an historical thing or an historical wreck, and then ties the adventure into it in modern day. Really cool stuff. I then got White Death, which I have read. Fire and Ice, which I have read. These are all hardcover. In fact, some of these are signed. And what sucks is I know one of these, I think it's Polar Shift. Yeah, Polar Shift, it arrived damaged, and you can't see it, but basically the ribbon has been shoved into the spine. I almost went and replaced that with another signed copy, because I think this one's signed as well. I've got a lot of Clive Cussler signed. In fact, I've got more Clive Cussler than just this stack, which I'm going to have to show to you later. But we've got Devil's Gate. I'm unsure if I've read this one. It's possible I've read it, but if I did, it didn't stick out of my mind. The same goes with Medusa. I'm not sure if I've read it, but I think I may have. Navigator, I know I have read. And then, let's get these out of the way. Oh, gosh. And then, this is The Rising Sea. Nighthawk. Now, these I know I haven't read. The Pharaoh's Secret. And I'm wanting to get back into Clive Cussler hardcore. Ghost Ship, which I believe, if it's Mylar wrapped, usually from this set, it means that it was signed. This one was signed by both authors. So I got that one. 0 Hour. The Storm, which I read this month. I actually fit this into my TBR. This is also signed. We've got Sea of Greed. And then I went and purchased Serpent, which I have read. I've read Serpent at least twice. And then Sahara is kind of what started this all. I've read Sahara at least 3 times. This is the Dirk Pitt, not Kurt Austin, but they're kind of interchangeable, except for, like, Kurt Austin likes racing sloops, I think is what it's called. Slews? I don't know, like, you know, like rowing teams in college, like he likes those, but he likes to do those solo. I don't know what it's called. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. And then Dirk Pitt is just obsessed with classic vehicles, which if you see on the back of the book, there's a classic car. So, and actually Clive Cussler has the Clive Cussler Museum, which is literally his museum of, like, I think over 80 classic vehicles, if not more. And I want to preface that I understand that Clive Cussler died in 2020, and they're still releasing books under his name. They're still doing it to Tom Clancy. They do it to a few authors. That's not really my bag. I don't really want to read anything after that period, except for maybe his son. His son is still writing Dirk Pitt adventures. That I might be okay with, but, like, because he co-authored, I think, the last 7 of the the Dirk Pitt books. And, I mean, Clive Cussler hadn't solo written a book since 2007 when he released The Chase. Which, that set of books that I have yet to receive yet, that is in the mail for today. But I'm not really a big supporter of continuing an author's worlds after they're gone. Especially when, like, I don't know, it just feels weird. It feels expletive, in my opinion. And I really wish they would leave Tom Clancy's work alone. They've been releasing books under his name for, like, he's been gone like 15 years. And that drives me absolutely nuts. So, from off screen, you're going to see 1 stack of books. And then here's a second stack of books. And then there's a whole nother cart over here. Now, I read Ghost Story. Or I should say I read 40% of Ghost Story by Peter Straub and DNF'd it. Of the 40% I read, 25 to 30% of that I loved. It was really good stuff. And then the rest just was kind of slow pacing. But during that 20 or 30%, I don't know, whatever the portion I liked, I bought Hellfire Club. I also bought Lost Boy, Lost Girl, and something else. I've removed those from my shelves. So, I'm uncertain. Peter Straub currently in my collection is on rocky ground. Because what I did like, I liked a lot. But there was a lot that I didn't like, and now I'm a lot more hesitant with Peter Straub. So, I'm going to keep Hellfire Club. I found this at a Half Price Books. You can see it's a little beat up. But I'm just kind of nervous now. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about his works going forward. But I do have the Hellfire Club now. And then I bought 3 books from this author in this book haul. The other 2 are... Where are the other 2? I don't know. They're buried here somewhere. But this is Christopher Golden. This is The House of Last Resort. And ever since I read a foreword in a Joe Hill book by Christopher Golden, I've been intrigued by Christopher Golden. I'm reading my first Christopher Golden next month. Or I guess when you're watching this, it'll be this month. So yeah, I'm reading Ararat, which is part of a trilogy. Spoiler, the next 2 books in that trilogy are in this book haul. And those are the other Christopher Goldens. But this is The House of Last Resort. And it just, I don't know, I like haunted house style of stories. And so when I saw this at a Barnes & Noble, I went, yeah, okay, fine, you're coming home with me. So I got that. And then in the Discord, Wizards on the Discord, which is a great bookish community, linked in the description box down below. I was kind of in the Shelfies channel, which is basically where you can just post pictures of your bookshelves, a Shelfie. And somebody decided to post their vintage horror paperback collection. Just that. And I saw the name Graham Masterson. And initially I bought Shadow People. And I was like, I'm going to try Graham Masterson. And then my brain went, oh, that's book 3 in a series. So I went and ordered the other 3. So this is the Shadow People. Out of the darkness, they are coming for you. This is older horror. Although I think some of these are still being released. Or some of these were released recently. What Hides in the Cellar. Ghost Virus, which I think is book 1 in this series. And then The Children God Forgot. Really cool covers. I got these from Blackwell's, which is a UK-based bookstore online. And, yeah, like free international shipping. So I was like, why not? And then here. This is my first Philip Fracassi. And essentially, I've heard about Boys in the Valley. I've heard mixed things on Boys in the Valley. But I was on a weekend trip with my wife. And we stopped at a Barnes & Noble. And I saw this on the shelf. The Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre. And I was just like, that sounds really interesting. It sounded right up my alley. It says, Rose is in her late 70s, living out her golden years at the Autumn Springs Retirement Home. When one of her friends dies alone in her apartment, Rose isn't too concerned. Accidents happen, especially at this age. Then another resident drops dead. And another. With bodies stacking up, Rose can't help but wonder, are these accidents? And so, yeah, I decided that this was going to be my first Philip Fracassi whenever I get around to it. Then I got 2 books from Tori, from Tori Talks. We did a little book trade. I don't know where I put the other one. But she was kind of book shopping, and she Wardenclyffe by F. Paul Wilson, which I just recently read Conspiracies, and this is mentioned as a part of that, which is Repairman Jack, book number 3. And what was cool about this is she got me a copy. She just found this out and about. And she was like, hey, I know you like F. Paul Wilson. Would you be interested in that? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I sent her some books. She sent me a couple books, and we called it an even trade. So thank you so much, Tori, for this. This is The Darkest Part of the Woods by Ramsey Campbell. Introduction by Peter Straub. It is signed by Straub, and it is signed by Campbell right here. This is a really old school PS publishing edition. I think this is over 22 years old. You can tell kind of here where the PS Publishing logo is different. So yeah, I picked that up. It's Ramsey Campbell is like a UK horror author. I don't know why I purchased this. I have no intentions of getting to Ramsey Campbell anytime soon, and yet I have done a thing. So there was that. Nobody's surprised here. I found this at a half-price book, so you can actually still see the top of the receipt there. This is Thomas Old, I can't say this last name, Hvelt Hex. And I've heard this being kind of bandied around here on BookTube as a really good book. I've also noticed that he's a fairly prolific author, so if I do enjoy this, I can check this out. I literally just bought this because of hype. FOMO. That sort of reason. So yes, I got Hex. In this older, I think this is an older paperback edition from Tor. So yeah, there's that. And then William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist. I have read this book, and I read it last month actually, and I was like, ooh, there's a new special edition that supposedly glows in the dark. I'm having that. I love this book. This was my book of the month in spooky season. Very good, super cool, and yeah, I've got this awesome edition now. Loved this. Just wow. I really didn't think I was going to love The Exorcist as much as I did. I found the Christopher Golden books. These are the sequels to Ararat. I think it's called like the Ben Stone series. You gonna tell me? No. Ben Walker series. There we go. And this is Pandora Room and Red Hands. I haven't read Ararat yet. I don't know why I all of a sudden felt the urge to buy these books, but I have done so, and so they are in my collection now, and I have them all in hardcover. St. Martin's Press, what are you doing? I know it's you who does this. It drives me nuts that you do it. Why is the logo at the bottom here and at the top up here? Get it together. This stuff drives me nuts. Like, it's not that hard to do consistent editions. Like, just go look at the image of the old one, and I don't know. I've got a background in graphic design. This isn't that hard to get right. This stuff drives me nuts. Let me know if this stuff drives you nuts too. Like, you've messed up the name because Christopher Golden's here, and then Christopher Golden's here. You've got it stacked here. You've got it in a single line here. I don't know. I just don't. I'm not a fan of you messing up spines like this. And it's not the first time that I've seen this done. In fact, I think they did it on... Yep, they did it on Howard Andrew Jones' Killing of Kings series as well. They did the exact same thing where they moved the logo. Quit it. Anyway, sorry. I had to rant. I'm going to move this one because it's... Oh, please don't fall over. I'll be so sad if you fall over. Okay, we're good. There was a second there. I was a little worried. All right, now we're going to do this stack. I got this from Blackwell's as well. This is a David Mitchell. This is The Thousand Autumns of Jacob what? I can't read it. Jacob D... I can't read it. It's an awful typography choice. Is that a Z? I don't know. I got this book because I really enjoyed the Bone Clocks when I was reading it, and then I kind of got ooze-squirreled. I got the bad news that my half-sister had passed away, and so I put it down, but while I was reading it, I went ahead and ordered this. The only thing with Blackwell's is it does take some time for the books to ship, so it can take 2 to 3 weeks, and by the time this arrived, I'd already put down Bone Clocks. But I am excited to get back to David Mitchell because the writing was excellent. So yes, let me know if you've read this. I've heard that it's kind of a little bit different than fantasy. It's got a different vibe than his other works, or at least than Bone Clocks, but it's still supposed to be really good. And obviously, like, I only picked up David Mitchell because Talking Story loves it, so why not? John from Talking Story, I should say. I don't think Jacob's read it. I think he's only read Slate House, as far as I know. And then I also picked up Navigator's Children. This is the final book in The Last King of Ostenard. And, yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get to this. The Witchwood Crown, I didn't particularly like the end, and I've been kind of dipping and dodging the series since then. My mood has just been, I haven't forgiven the end of what was arguably a perfect sequel right up until, like, the last 50 pages. So, yeah, I'll get back to this someday, and we'll see what happens. Here's Tori's other book. She forwarded me her copy of The Arc of the Feeding by Anthony Ryan, because she knows I love Anthony Ryan. I was also sent an e-arc by the author, and I just never got around to it. But thank you so much, Tori, for this copy of The Feeding. Post-apocalyptic vampire story, I think. And then I got this. This is Darcy Coates. I was in a Barnes & Noble, and I saw this, and I was like, yeah, sure, Parasite. Horror, sci-fi, alien vibe, I'm here for it. So I had, like, I think I was waiting for a doctor's appointment that was, like, 5 minutes down the road. I got there super early, and I was just like, oh, there's a Barnes & Noble, like, 5 minutes down the road. I'll just go there, kill an hour or 40 minutes. I don't know how much time I had. But, yeah, this is the result of that. I ended up buying Parasite. Then we've got this bad boy. Now, I am not the biggest GGK fan. And I've had this in my collection before. I have. It has been on my bookshelf in the past. But one of my patrons, I was going to do, I think it was Under Heaven. And they were like, can we do Tigana instead? And I was like, well, I should probably have the book in my collection in case we do, in fact, do Tigana instead. So I was at a half-price books. I saw Tigana on the shelf. It's a fairly battered copy. But I decided to go ahead and pick it up for myself anyway. So I have Tagana back on the shelves. Those of you who have been around for a while know that I have DNF'd this book once already. Maybe I'll have a better time the second time around. So there's that. Oh, another book that Tori sent me was Where Loyalties Lie by Rob J. Hayes. This is Best Laid Plans #1. And I love me some Rob J. Hayes. I forgot. My brain is not what it should be. But yeah. Anyway, here we go. We've got this gorgeous, gorgeous cover. Hopefully I can find... I think it's like a 4 or 5 book series. So hopefully I can find matching covers in this set. So yes, there's that. I just love me some Rob J. Hayes. And so she was like, hey, I don't need this in my collection anymore. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, sure. Half price books. I found The Hollowed Hunt by Lois McMaster Bujold. And this is set in the world of the 5 gods. I've read the first 3 Penric novellas. Really enjoyed those. And so I was like, you know what? I should add this to my collection as well. There's another 2. I think there's like Paladin of Souls or something else that I need to track down and get in my collection. Curse of Chalion, I think, is the other one. Those are all set in the world of the 5 gods around various different timelines. So there are those. More Clive Cussler. We've got Golden Buddha. This is book 1 of the Oregon Files. And I found this online. It's really tight in its slipcase. The slipcase is not in the best of shape, but I decided to go ahead and order this. I have read this before, but it's been a good long while. This is Golden Buddha. This is signed as well, numbered. There we go. I believe it says this first edition of Golden Buddha is limited to 300 numbered copies, and I have number 85. So I have read this. I have enjoyed it. Oregon Files takes place on like this old ship that's been retrofitted to look really derelict, but it's actually like state of the art. And we've got a crew and all that sort of stuff. Really, really cool. I need to do a refresher. It's been a long time since I read it. But I also picked up book 2, Sacred Stone. And this is also a special edition from Norwood Press. It's leather bound. And this one's not numbered, although it says it's limited to 100 copies, and this one is signed. But there is not an actual number saying what number that I have. So, yeah, I've got that one. And I don't remember if I've read this one or not. I've read a lot of Clive Cussler. He's probably my 2nd or 3rd most read author. But most of that's in the Kurt Austin and the Dirk Pitt. I've read a few of the Oregon Files. There's a Sam and Fargo series I think I've read a couple in. And I think I don't know. It's been a long time. I used to read a lot of Clive Cussler. Okay. Now we've got the cart. Although, low-hanging fruit, let's get this out of the way. I picked up Mobile Suit Gundam, The Origin Deluxe Edition. This is a manga, and I have started reading this one. I am about 1/3 of the way through it, or maybe 25%, I don't know. But really cool. This is embossed. It's got some color, and I think there's going to be 5 of these. And if I continue loving this as much as I am, then I'm going to continue picking them up. Very, very cool. Just really awesome. I grew up loving Gundam. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get through this. Oh, it's so heavy, though. The thing weighs a literal ton. Okay. Now, time for the next one. We've got 3 from this author. And it's a name I've seen around a fair bit. We've got Bentley Little, and I got these all used. This is The Store, The Disappearance, and then The House. And I got these all at half-price books. These are horror books. I just wanted to try like Richard Lehman, Bentley Little, Graham Masterson. I'm looking to try a lot of the older horror authors because I just find them so incredibly awesome. I should just bring over a stack. Just bring over a stack of books. Here, let's just do this. Yeah? Is that good? Is that it? That's it. All right. So we've got 2 broken bindings. I got the second half of The Sparrow, which is Children of God by Mary Doria Russell. This is book 2. I have not read book 1, but really awesome in pages here. This is a heftier, heavy book from Broken Binding. Like the pages feel like normally they're a little lighter than what this is. So I'm wondering if they've used a different weight of paper. But really gorgeous sprayed edges here. I think it's signed. Yeah, it's at least initialed. I don't know if you can see that, but there's that. And then we've got this, Anthony Ryan's Born of an Iron Storm. This is Age of Wrath, book number 2. I have not read book number 1 yet, but anything Anthony Ryan puts out, I am probably going to purchase. So I've got that. And then this is a surprise. I didn't order this. This is the Benjamin Ashwood Kickstarter edition from AC Cobble. And there was a package of goodies, and I don't know where it's gone. I thought it was over there, but it is. Is it in here? No, it's not in there. I don't know where it is. I wonder if my kids have been in here getting their greasy little fingers all over everything. But this is the slipcase. And if I open it, you can see kind of right there. The book comes out. I do believe book 2 is getting ready to go on Kickstarter. I don't know how I feel about this dust jacket. Like, it's cool, but like I could see these areas right here just ripping very, very easily. But I mean, I want to say it's a leather bound, or at least it's faux leather bound, but just gorgeous, gorgeous details. The tricky thing about living in a society that allows you freedom is that everyone else has it too. Here's the front cover, just tons and tons of work. Look at these edges. They're like shiny. Signed. So I believe this came from AC Cobble, so thank you so much for this. And then there's also, for my map nerds, a map right here. Very, very cool. And then some in-page art. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I was very surprised when this just showed up on my front door. Completely unsolicited. Very cool. Very gorgeous, very handsome looking book. I've read some AC Cobble before, and the man can write. Summer of Night. This is Dan Simmons, and basically my patron Craig, who I have tons of respect for. We chat all the time. And he gave this 5 stars. And he's like, I absolutely loved it. And I was like, well, okay, fine. I'll pick that up. So I found this at a half-price books, like literally 4 days after he gave me a rating for it. And I was like, yes, you're coming home with me. I'm going to read that. That will be my first Dan Simmons. 2 more Dean Koontz. I don't know why I keep buying up Koontz, despite the fact that I'm not reading a lot of Koontz. But The Forest of Lost Souls and The House at the End. She knows the forest well, and the darkness of the human heart. She survived the unimaginable. How prepared is she for the unbelievable? So there are those 2. Gorgeous, gorgeous books. I'm going to have to find places in my collection for all of this nonsense. And then finally, we've got these. Now, I bought this one. I found these 2.5 price books, and I got this one off of Pengo. And I am about 35% into the yard. But obviously, the collection doesn't match. It's going to bug me a little bit. There's nothing I can do about it. But this is by Alex Grecian. And this is the Scotland Yard Murder Squad series. There's 5 of these. So I need to get books 4 and 5 as well, because this takes place 1 year after the events of Whitechapel, Jack the Ripper, all that. Scotland Yard is reeling. Their reputation is in shambles because they didn't catch Jack. Saucy Jack, as they refer to him in the book. And yeah, just really, really cool stuff here. We are following members of Scotland Yard as they are tracking down killers and solving various crimes. Really cool stuff. We've got The Devil's Workshop, and I have read Red Rabbit by this author, and I really enjoyed it. The Black Country, and then of course book 1 is The Yard, which I have started reading. So there's that. And then finally, we've got 1 author left? Question mark? Yes, we've got 1 author left. And that author is Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. We're going to start with Thunderhead. This is Nora Kelly. 0, I have read this book. And I did get a signed edition. Why? I don't know. I just wanted it. We got Badlands. This is Nora Kelly, I think 4. No, this is Nora Kelly 5. This is Dead Mountain, Nora Kelly 4. Nora Kelly was a character from the Pendergast books. And then this also features Corey Swanson, who is another character from the Pendergast books. I then picked up Ice Limit, another one that I have read. This is also signed. I'm not going to show you all the signatures, but I will, of course, show off this one. It is signed right there. I read Ice Limit a long time ago. I know the Gideon books. There's one called Return or Beyond Ice Limit. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. I picked up just Douglas Preston's The Codex. I don't think I've read this. No idea what's it about. And then Extinction. And I just recently, like 2 days ago, pre-ordered the sequel to this. Still haven't read this one. But so there are those. And then we're just going to basically go through the Pendergast books. Essentially, this one was pulled out into a TBR, so it's going to be out of order. This is Crooked River number 19. So, yes, this is the one I'm currently on. So that's going there. And then starting in order, we've got Reliquary, book number 2. I have read this one. Fantastic. Not my favorite, but really good. Cabinet of Curiosities, arguably one of my top 10 books of all time. I've read this one, obviously. I've read it like 4 or 5 times. That's number 3. Still Life with Crows. I got this off of Mercari. Surprising me, Mercari's got some really great stuff for books. So I got this one. I think that's number 2, 3, 4. Then we've got Brimstone. Also got off Mercari. I've read this one. Dance of Death. I've read this one. Fantastic. We are into the Diogenes trilogy. Book of the Dead, which is the first Pendergast book I ever read in high school. I read them out of order. Wheel of Darkness. This one's okay, but I have read it. This is kind of Constance doing her thing, which is a character in the books. Cemetery Dance. This one is signed. And arguably my last favorite book in the series, which my history with Pendergast is very difficult. I've DNF'd the series back in I want to say it was like 2021 when I read Obsidian Chamber. Fever Dream. Cold Vengeance, Two Graves, White Fire, Rapid Fire. I've read all of these, by the way. This is the last appearance of Corey Swanson, and I believe Cemetery Dance was the last appearance of Nora Kelly. Then Blue Labyrinth, Crimson Shore, and Obsidian Chamber. This is where I DNF'd the series many, many years ago, but I have since returned to the series and read City of Endless Night, Verses for the Dead, and then, of course, that's where Crooked River goes, is right after Verses for the Dead. And then, in December, I'm reading Bloodless, The Cabinet of Dr. Lang, and Angel of Vengeance. That is the end of the book haul. I need a drink. My throat is parched. Please let me know some of your October pickups. And as always, guys, I hope you are doing well. I plan to never haul this many books ever again, if I can help it. But that's all I've really got for today, guys. I hope you are doing well. Till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.